So it's specifically in line to do with the camera that's on for you. Opportunity have separate facility and state challenge.
It's a lot, well, 40% of my scoring.
Kill that. 5 years.
In my
It keeps on ringing, doesn't it? Already had. I just wonder how long it keep on going, Roger. Denny, sir, would you like to get moving? Hit it harder than usual.
well, welcome, my snowbird Rotary.
Great.
Welcome. For friends, would you please pray with me? Take a moment of prayer. For friends, good fun and fellowship, especially the fellowship of Rotary, we give sincere thanks. May these tokens of our bounty nourish our physical bodies and prepare for the challenges that are ours in Rotary. Always keep in mind the mindful of the needs of others and keep us always attuned to your calling in Rotary. And we ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Secretary report, Gus.
All right, we are at all-time record high for online participation. My day, we had about 8-9 individuals online, making us about 56%.
Okay.
Not huge share.
Here, let me.
Hey, Jim.
You gonna put mine up?
Yeah, I was gonna do a.
Oh. Yes. Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to remind everybody about the Beavercreek's Rotary Club golf outing. Going to be on May 15th. If you'd like to sponsor, play, please let us know. There's some pamphlets on the tables. And another thing is, I got a postcard from Bobbins Free Futures. They're having a fundraiser on April 17th. Golden ticket raffle and live auction, and it's a fundraiser. So if you can be there, April 17th, it's the Greene County Expo Center.
Spring fling, correct?
Yeah.
Spring fling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rotary normally buys a table.
Okay.
Yes. It's a good time. If you can be there. Where'd Eric go? Oh. If you're ready.
I can stop trying to present.
Always ready?
Beavercreek Foundation. The part says ignite.
Well, thank you all for getting out here today. I know it was probably trying at sometimes. The flat streets are kind of horrible. They get plowed down. And like everybody knows that. But the city's doing a good job on getting them cleared. They got the main roads pretty good shape, getting on the sides. And mine will be plowed last. This little course was 6,000 on it, so it's not a big priority.
Then share that.
Yeah.
Okay. You want this?
Yeah. Okay. This is lesson 2 in Ignite. Everybody get out your phones. Remember how you did it last week? This week, we're going to teach you how easy it is to give away points that you get when you make contributions to the foundation. I talked about that last week. When you make a contribution to the foundation, for every dollar you give, the foundation gives you a point. You can't use those points on yourself. You can only give them away. So that you can, for instance, become a Paul Harris Fellow by contributing $1,000.
Where did the meeting go, Eric? I'm sorry, sir.
No. By contributing $1,000, you get 1,000 points. So you could make your spouse a Paul Harris Fellow at the same time with your 1,000 points. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna tell you how to do that.
I'm not presenting it. Hold on.
It's up. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sharon.
There we go. So we talked about this last week, about getting into Ignite. And down here you see Foundation. You click on Foundation. And you can either donate while you get there, so you can give money to the foundation on a credit card, or you can transfer points to somebody.
You're a big deal, Eric.
Well, yeah, well, why aren't you going?
Clicker just failed.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about transfer points, so I circled it so you could see it. So when you transfer, it'll give you a list of all the members in the club. Well, that's actually what I clicked. So you can just pick out a member if you wanted to give it to a member. For instance, when we do our Founders Day, we get people that have a lot of points to give points to a member that say has contributed 500 in cash, and then we match the 500 in cash in the club to give that person a Paul Harris at Founders Day, right? So if you've got 500 points in your account that you don't need, you can give them to the club. And then the person that's doing Paul Harris, are you doing that now, Dave? Dave's doing that now. Dave will call you on the phone and say, hey, you've got 1,200 points. Will you give 500 points to the foundation? You can just do it. Dave doesn't have to do any paperwork. He just does it. It makes his life really easy. Then he loves you. Then maybe he'll take care of other things. So then you click on who you want to do it. I went and chose an individual that's not a member, just because doing it for a member was kind of strange. And it says start transfer, and then you can either do a member of my club or do a manual entry. And I did a manual entry. So the next one is you fill out the person, you get a screen that shows the name and all the information about the person that you know. And then you can transfer the points. And I typed in, it was my wife. You can't see the top part because it was too long. And then you click next, and you go to the next screen, and it tells you what you're doing. You sign it, and it gives you a thing. You pick who you want the recognition sent to. And I chose send it to me because it's my wife. And then you get another screen that gives you kind of a what you're doing with the signature on it. And must have got those out of order. You get a final screen that says, hey, is this correct? And you click yes, and it does it, and you confirm it. And that's it. It's very easy. It only takes a few minutes, a little bit of typing on your phone, and life is good, and you can give 1,000 to the foundation and then take 1,000 points and make some of your favorite person a Paul Harris Fellow. Any questions? No questions. So I'm going to steal Matthie's thunder since she's at the computer and tell you that we have made arrangements for Founders Day. Pull out you got your phones out, right? Pull out your phone, go to May, click on May. What's the date? May 8th?
8. Yep.
Click on May 8th, type Rotary, Beavercreek Rotary Founders Day, 6 p.m. The venue is here at 6 p.m. We thought we couldn't have it here because it was a golf outing before us, but we reread the email a little better.
Eric did.
And we learned that we couldn't have it until 6 p.m. and we'd been starting at 5:30, so we were disappointed. But we just said we'll start at 6. We'll just go 30 minutes later or drink less. Any other questions?
No, sir.
I guess I give it back to the press, or do I introduce Beth?
Well, you can introduce
Let's
this.
introduce Ben, since I'm up there already. So we are really fortunate that James Investment Research has not one member in our club, but two, in the form of Beth and Kenzie. And Beth runs the, what is it called? You do financial planning for the customers, the clients of James Investment Research. And she does really good financial planning. They got software that models your tax returns. They can say, well, what if I do this, or what if I do that, or what if I take this, or what if I sell that? And she can tell you what you can deduct and how much it's going to cost you in taxes or save you in taxes to do it. Really good service, worth hiring them.
Thanks, Eric.
That if she said that, it would cost her like dollars.
Yeah.
So I'll do the sergeant fine here. If you don't have a financial planner, that's $1.
Chris said that he also wanted to have a fine for, we didn't do the drawing yet. did we? Nope. Okay. The other, Chris said he wanted to do a fine if you didn't leave open your cabinet door, or like David had suggested, and all the work that poor Restore Pros has had to do because people's pipes have frozen.
All right, so that's the second $1.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess Dave's gonna do happy. You want to do happy bucks?
Yeah, might as well get that too.
And we'll do the drawing too.
Yeah,
I'm ahead of myself.
Sorry, that was my.
well, I was going to say, go ahead. All right, anybody got any happy bucks?
This isn't happy. Well, was it you? No, okay. Charles emailed me, Curran's emailed me and said his daughter's not doing well. She's in the hospital and she's not behaving and not doing what the doctors and nurses are asking her to do. So he's really struggling with that. So just keep her in your prayers, and Charles and their family.
It's rough to listen to the doctor sometimes.
Yeah.
You have a happy buck? Yeah.
I have a happy buck on Tuesday. SEAL Team 6 busted my wife out of rehab and brought her home.
Yay.
I think we all have that problem. Don't listen to the doctor. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, it gets old with that. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Sure, it's. So George Larson was one of our outbound Rotary students. Summer of 2017, or 18, somewhere in there with my son. She went to Austria, my son went to Peru. Yeah. George tragically passed away about 2 years ago. And so that was a situation that was expected. But her mom, Nikki, is a member of the Fairborn Rotary. And in Jordan's honor, they do a memorial scholarship for outbound Rotary students. So I mentioned this, there's a fundraiser Monday, February 23rd, and I can get you guys the directions, as fair instructions and send it out. But Monday, February 23rd at T. Davis House. They are making it a lighthearted affair, but they are remembering Jordan, so there is a little bit of seriousness to it. But there's going to be gift baskets that they're going to auction off. There's going to be bingo, and anybody who knows Nikki knows there's plenty of fun. There's going to be a few spirits and drinks and things like that. But just a really nice time to do something in Jordan's honor. So just inviting you guys. I would love to see you. I'm going to be going, and I'm helping put together something that's pretty cool. They have a foundation called Larson Inc., and it's through Greene County. You can look it up. But one of the things that Jordan had that was really unique was she had some tattoos. And this is something that they kind of incorporated in a lot of their artwork and different things in her honor. And again, you know, Nikki, there's not, this is going to be fun. But I just wanted to mention that because she is Rotarian and it's a Rotary event sorts. So.
Well, thank you very much. Yep, just appreciate it. Yes.
Okay, I've got a handful of happy bucks. I had a meeting with Jamie Hensley. I think a lot of you know him, Rotarian from Beavercreek. I got the tire business up there in Beavercreek and one down in Fairborn. Anyhow, Jamie says happy buck for everybody today, and he said if you need tires, he's running special today.
That's good.
Yeah,
No
and
doubt.
I've got,
Yes, no tires.
so he sent 5 happy bucks to support that. And I've got a $5 bill to put in because I'm happy as a clam to see all this snow. I grew up in northern Ohio. The Air Force further increased my love for snow when they sent me up to Grand Forks for 4 years under North Dakota. And I love snow.
Jamie's off the corner of Kemp and Grangetown, right?
Yeah.
The one in there.
And senior ones on the road. Oh. Want to do the drawing now? Oh, I'm sorry.
Wasn't here last week because Saturday I took the CFA level 3 exam. I won't find the results out for a while, but I'm glad that I'm no longer studying for that.
That's good.
I'm gonna make a quick announcement for the new members that haven't done RLI. There's gonna be a part 1 RLI session in Cincinnati on February 21. You have to go to the calendar in that TV to register. If you want to go, you should go because all the new members should go. If you haven't been, you should go.
And the club pays for it.
Club pays the money, don't pay. Just go in there, say you're sending a check and don't send the check. I'll find out, I'll write a check for the club. That'll save you having to get reimbursed and it'll save me from writing checks for everybody that goes. And it'll save them the credit card fee.
Oh, jeez, that sounds so good. Thank you very much. The ticket says it's 267 days to Halloween. Sorry. The last 3 numbers are 368.
It's Brian.
Huh?
What are we looking for? I forget.
We'll pour it either.
4 of diamonds. So they're gonna grab that card to you.
Oh, no.
Don't get the joker. Okay, wait.
Who got it?
Brian.
Brian.
Oh, right.
Inside.
He's still on the
Training. See, this is proponent, but yes, they get it.
Yeah.
All right, 4 diamonds. Clean up.
That was it.
Party and. Oh.
All right, 5 girls. And something else, if you've got a sink or any bathroom sink or the kitchen sinks and stuff, open up your cabinets down there at the bottom in this cold weather. Because those pipes will freeze on that exterior wall. So you get those cabinets up and let that fresh air get in there and warm air. You won't have Chris coming out there and having to bail you out.
My shower done.
Get all the water up.
Some just here involved.
Well, are you ready for me? Sorry, I was listening to
Oh, that's it.
a story. Our coworker had a perk bite. Did it in the pipe first? No, just.
That just sounds no. Sure, that's bad if you don't.
Yeah, it's us. It's a mess. All right. Just for it. This thing's on wheels. All right. So today I am going to be talking about what the cool kids call OBA. Does anybody know what that is? The one big beautiful bill act. So now you can be cool too and call it OBA. You can sound really awesome. So you're already learning something, right? All right. So I want to talk about, last year I talked about, well, what if the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act expires? What's going to happen? And so this year what happened? The bill passed, right? And so what is the components of that bill and what does that mean for the economy? So I'm going to start off, I should introduce too, Brian Culpepper. You want to stand up, Brian? This is our CEO, Brian Culpepper. Any hard questions are going to go to him. I'm going to take the easy questions. Okay. He's our market genius. I know more about the tax laws, retirement planning and things like that. So we work well as a team. All right. So I'm going to provide a backdrop
of where we are now on a large scale of what's happening in the economy. So right now, things are kind of hanging tough, right? Inflation is under control. Unemployment is staying steady. So we are just kind of hanging in there right now with those things. Manufacturing conditions are improving. So what we're talking about here is that if we didn't know last April, all of the tariff stuff started. And so people, the companies didn't know how much is stuff going to cost, how much are these tariffs going to impact my cost of goods sold, right? And so we're starting to see, we really think that all of that's going to pan out this first couple months of 2026. And so that's really good for manufacturers. If they know how much their products are going to cost, they know how much to charge us, right? And that really helps give them certainty and feel comfortable about making some big investments. Some things we are seeing, we're getting close to the end of the business cycle, right? So you come off a recession, you have a boom, and then things start to slow back down. We think we're kind of on the slowing back down part, not a recession, okay, but we're at the end. And so one of the things that makes us think that is we're seeing weaknesses in consumer income. And some of the notes that people have are getting more 90 days late than before. And so we're starting to see a little bit of weakness there. And I think we can all agree that none of us feel great about how things feel right now, right? We don't feel really rosy and optimistic, right? So consumer sentiment is waning a little bit. I talked about the global trade war. So we are entering 2026 where we have aggressive fiscal stimulus from OBA, where the government has given some good tax benefits. And then we're also seeing a potential reduction in interest rates. So both of these things should help improve the economy. A big question is, what's the Fed going to do? All right, there's a lot of drama about this right now. The market is pricing in that we're going to have 2 interest rate cuts this year. So that's the expectation. Depending on how Powell's replacement goes and some other positions that are opening up in the Fed, there could be a change of sentiment within the Federal Reserve where maybe they won't cut interest rates, right? So we're really going to have to watch this closely. If they don't cut interest rates, we could see the markets react. And so we want to watch for that and just be aware, but we'll see, right? Hold on to my daughter loves Jurassic Park, so there's a quote in there, hold on to your butts. So anyway, that's how I feel right now. All right. So February and March are going to be critical as we're making these leadership changes within the Federal Reserve. So this inflation, what we're seeing, what could cause inflation? If we see inflation increase, the Fed's not going to reduce interest rates. So what could make inflation increase? One of the things is the tariffs. If we see, again, as these first couple months of the year, if we start to see prices increase because of the tariffs, well, that will cause inflation. Another thing that could cause inflation is the fiscal stimulus from OLA, right? These tax cuts that we received, people are going to get big tax refunds. They're going to go out and spend money and drive prices up. So we could see some inflation in this first quarter, in the first half of the year. And so if we have inflation, the Fed can't cut rates, right? You can see where this is going. So we're in a tricky spot of trying to balance the growth, but also providing stability for the economy, for prices. So what do we see for stocks in 2026? AI has been the story for the last several years. And so what we expect is that the AI, the big names, the Magnificent Seven, we call them, we think that growth is going to slow down. They're not going to continue to go gangbusters, but we're going to see the cottage industries, the enablers, so to speak, of the AI revolution are going to be held up better. So one of the things here, we've got utilities, the data centers, right? They demand a lot of energy. And so utility companies are going to do really, really well. Some companies, some of the big software companies are building their own nuclear reactors because they have control of the power and they want to make sure they have enough power. So we're going to see those types of industries, they support AI. We think that those will do better this year than the AI innovators, the NVIDIA, Microsoft, so on. We think that the international equities could be a good place to be right now. The dollar has come down in value, and so that makes international companies stronger. So we think that'll happen. Gold and other commodities. Another thing these data centers need is a lot of gold and precious metals. So we see that those prices, and those have been a bit of a roller coaster. I don't know if anybody's paid attention. What's gold up year to date, Brian? You remember?
Only like 10% now, but it was up 35%.
Yeah, so it's been a while, right? So it was up 35% if you didn't hear. And then we had some drama with the Federal Reserve nominations and things beginning of this week that it dropped down, but it's still up 10% year to date. Right? So it's a good hedge against inflation. And small caps, small companies, and we're not talking about mom and pop small companies, but what's a good example of a small cap name, Ryan?
Jay,
Jabil. Okay, do they do speakers? No.
no. They're a tech company that just does some of the actual AI infrastructure stuff.
Okay. So we're not talking again small mom and pop. What's the typical market cap for a small cap? You on the spot. You like this?
Historically, it was under $2 billion, but now I'd say under about 8 billion.
8 billion. So 8 billion, a company 8 billion is small. Sounds really small. Okay. But they do better. We think that they'll do better this year. If interest rates are lower, smaller companies, their borrowing costs are lower, and smaller companies, frankly, need to borrow more money to keep growing. So we think that small caps will benefit well, and they're up huge year to date as well, Brian, right? I think up 8.
Small caps are up 8 as of like yesterday. So
Yeah,
they're
8%.
today.
Right? Wow. So bonds. What do we think about bonds? It's kind of an interesting time. So right now, this maybe will shock you, but corporations are in better fiscal health than governments. So corporate bonds, okay, are kind of a better deal right now, right? Which is kind of interesting. That doesn't happen very often. And so we think that that is a better bet buying corporate bonds rather than buying government bonds. Municipal bonds, again, what's great about, well, we just had all those people come and talk about our state and local governments. State and local governments can't run in deficit spending. So they're fiscally pretty sound, right? So municipal bonds give you a good opportunity as well to mix. Again, with the weakening dollar, buying European bonds and emerging market bonds also presents an opportunity. So I mentioned before that we're seeing the consumer become behind on some of their bills a little bit. So we don't want to I call them, well, they're junk bonds, but I call them sexy bonds. They're risque, okay? So we don't want to be in that low quality segment as we're coming to the end of the business cycle. We want to buy more high quality things, okay? All right. Now to the exciting stuff, at least according to me. This is what gets my jollies off, okay, is all of this fun tax planning. So OPA, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. So again, is major fiscal legislation that is hoping to spur the economy. So some of the, at a high level, it's focusing on helping businesses and households, right, regular folks, and hopefully that will help accelerate the economy. So let's start with the business stuff. What do we see there? This was part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, a 20% qualified business income deduction. So that has been kept permanent. We weren't sure if that was going to stay, and it is. So that's really good for businesses. We'll talk more about why that's important. You can fully expense equipment purchases. So if I buy a truck, I can expense it all this year, right? That shows reduced profit, right? Less taxes, right? So the hope is that people will go out and buy new trucks, right? If they can expense them all. That's something that we want that will help spur economic growth. 100% of expensing of research and development. So this is a big deal, especially around here with all the R&D people we have in the Dayton area. Right. So like I said, if we reduce the after-tax cost for businesses, they will invest. we're trying to get companies to spend money, right? That is part of this, the point of this is where if we encourage, if we give them tax write-offs, they're going to pull forward those expenses rather than waiting to spend money later. If businesses spend money, that's good for the economy. So this is kind of wild numbers, and we don't really know how this is going to come out, but we're expecting OBA to inject $370 billion into the economy. And that is because we are doing where people are going to get larger tax refunds. And so that's really quick here in the next, well, you can file now if you want. So between now and April 15th, we could see people get some big refunds and some big injections into our economy. So what are some of those provisions that are going to give us some relief here? Some interesting things. I was talking to Ryan Rushing about this, but overtime, right? Not paying tax on overtime. That's going to be a big deal. All these poor city workers who've been working their tails off plowing roads, right? All that overtime, they're not going to have to pay income tax on. And tips. I had a client whose daughter's a hairdresser. She is so excited about that, right? Because now all of a sudden her tips aren't taxable. Now there's income limitations, okay? But that's good stuff. And car loan interest, if you buy a car that is assembled finally in the US, it's if this, then that. There's a lot of conditions with it, but you can make that deductible from your income if you have car loan interest, right? So again, trying to incentivize domestic car purchase. So hopefully if people get tax refunds, they'll go out there and spend some money. Some other things that are helping young families, the child tax credit went from $2,000 per kid to $2,200. So that should be another $200 per kid for families. That child tax credit has been increased, those bands, so more people will be able to take them. The Trump accounts, have you guys heard about these? So these are going to be, it's going to be really interesting. So they are not coming out until July. But the idea with these, well, first, the government's going to put anybody who was born in 2026, the government's going to give them $1,000 seed starter money into these Trump accounts. And they're made for kids. They're designed for kids. Parents, employers actually can put $5,000 per year into this Trump account for a kid. You're essentially funding a retirement account for a kid from when they're born. It gives that opportunity. And I know that you know that it's harder for this newer generation to save money for retirement. So this is a way that you can help your kids get a jump start. So if you were born 2025 through 2028, you're going to get that $1,000 seed money from the government. And so that'll come in July. They'll go, okay, well, we don't have any idea. Congress has to figure this out, right? But we'll see what happens with those. A dependent care flexible savings account. So this is, I can choose to take from my paycheck, put into this dependent care flexible savings account, and then use that flexible savings account to pay for daycare. Okay, now, thank God my kids aren't in daycare anymore. All right, but $5,000, that's nothing when you're paying for daycare. So raising from $5,000 to $7,500 is going to help families because daycare costs a lot. I think it's easy to spend $1,000 a month on daycare. All right. And 529 plans. So these have been broadening and broadening and broadening. In the old days, you had an Ohio 529 plan, it could only be spent in Ohio, or it had very narrow uses, but now you can spend your money on lots and lots of different things. It can be used for parochial schools, K-12. It can be used for computers. It can be used for trade schools. It can be used for certifications. It can be used for lots and lots of different things now. So that's another thing they're doing to help families. If we put money into a 529 plan and it grows, pull it out. We don't have to pay the income tax on it if we use it for those designated expenses. So again, trying to help families because it's rough out there. It's rough out there. This is a big deal. So there's two big charitable giving changes. One is, I don't know if you remember, but we probably do, but the standard deduction used to be much, much smaller. right? And then it doubled under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And so many haven't itemized for 5, 6, 10 years now. And so they have, as a way to incentivize charitable giving again, even if you don't itemize, you can take $1,000 or $2,000 as a charitable deduction. And I guess you could probably give that $1,000 or $2,000 to Rotary. That would be okay, huh?
Get the Paul Harris.
Yeah, get your Paul Harris. That's right. That's right, David. All right, so itemizers, the bad thing that happened is now if you do a charitable deduction, you have to get over a floor of your income. So to keep the numbers simple, I'm bad at mental math, but if you made $100,000, okay, 0.5% is 500, right? Yeah. The first $500 that you donate, you don't get a deduction for. So if I made $100,000 and I donate 1,000, I can only deduct $500 now. So there's this new floor that you have to get over. It's very similar to the healthcare expenses, if you guys remember how that works. So that's the downside. So some other itemized deduction changes, some good news is the state and local tax deduction cap used to be, yeah, it's huge. It used to be $10,000, okay? A lot of our property taxes that we pay are more than $10,000 a year, right? And so with the state and local tax deduction limitation that we used to have, you didn't get the tax deduction for all the property taxes and the income taxes you were paying and local taxes you were paying. And so now they've raised that cap from 10,000 to 40,000, which is a big deal. That'll help a lot of people this year that will be able to itemize that they wouldn't have been able to before because that has increased. That makes sense? Something else that was interesting that honestly I didn't know was included in OBA until I was preparing for this presentation is they moved teacher expenses. So teachers can deduct up to $300 whole, okay, on their taxes for expenses. That's now an itemized deduction, and it never used to be before. So that'll be a big change for our teachers who deal with that. If they don't itemize, they won't be able to take it. Let's see. Oh, and the other thing that they've done with the itemized deductions for the highest income earners and above that 37% tax bracket, they are limiting the itemized deductions. They can't take them. Wow. And 37% is really high, right? So maybe we don't feel so bad for them. So again, will more people itemize? Yeah. So make sure when you're going to get your taxes done, if you say, no, I'm never going to itemize again, bring the stuff because you might this year with that state and local tax being raised. Any questions? This is another really exciting thing. So for being over 65, you get $6,000 as a tax deduction. Right. Exactly. It's called the enhanced senior deduction. Now, this phases out very, very quickly. All right. So you have to watch your income. But this came about because one of the things that Trump talked about in his campaign is he wanted to make Social Security not taxable. That was a big thing he was pushing for. Well, he couldn't quite get that over the line. And so instead, we've got this enhanced senior deduction where you can get an extra $6,000 off. Again, depending on your income. But that's $6,000 per person. So a couple can get 12. So it's good stuff. It ends in 2028 though, so this isn't a permanent thing. So we'll see how that shakes down. You guys excited about that? Huh? That's good news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so also the estate and gift tax numbers increased. Again, under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the number doubled. I don't know, Dave could give us a dissertation on the estate tax numbers and how they've changed over the last 25 years. It's been a wild ride, huh? But luckily with OBA, we now know that if you die this year, the number is 15 million. So I can have $15 million. My husband can have $15 million, right? And we don't have to pay estate tax. So basically, right, who pays estate tax?
That's portable.
And it's, yeah. So explain what that means, Dave.
So if you don't use all of yours,
passed the remaining, the deceased spouse unused exemption amount passed to the.
So I die in 2026. And I have $10 million. Okay, all right, so I have $5 million left of my exemption. My husband dies in 2027. He has my 5 and his own 15.
Just used to be that if you didn't use it, you lost it. This allows the couple to preserve the exemption.
Yeah. And we weren't really sure what was gonna happen with this if Tax Cuts and Jobs Act expired. What would happen? A lot of us thought the number was gonna go back down to 7 million, which catches a lot more people than 15. And it's gonna be adjusted for inflation, so that's good too. So some things that were terminated as a result of OBA is a lot of the clean energy tax credits are gone. So if you had some of those expenses in 2025 and eked in, right, and you can take those credits, but they're gone for 2026. So I mean, still do them if you want to, but you're not going to get the tax credit. All right. So there was, if you bought a hybrid or electric previously owned vehicle, new vehicle, commercial vehicle, a lot of I did like new roofs, insulation, windows, right? That kind of stuff qualified for that 30% tax credit. It was funny. We were trying to decide, my husband and I, we were going to put solar panels in because like, all right, this 30% tax credit's going away. Should we do it? I don't know. Anyway, we couldn't get them installed, so we didn't do it. So anyway, we lost our 30% tax credit. But what it was interesting about that though is so like when we called to get a new quote, they had already actually reduced the price because they knew the tax credit was going away. So maybe it'll just be 30% cheaper to get your solar panels. All right, so what is this going to do for the economy? The dream was that these infusions into the economy were going to help offset any higher prices with the tariffs that might be coming down. Net positive economic growth, right? We want to have a strong economy. And we're coming towards the end of that cycle. I said, we have a recession, we come up, economic boom, and then we start to come back down. We're coming down towards the end of that economic cycle. So we're trying to push that economic cycle just a little bit longer, right? That's the whole point of all of this. Right. So OBA is going to help the economy here in the short term, which is good. We'll see how inflation comes down, right? Hopefully we thread the needle and everything. It stays great for 2026. Any questions? Brian gets the hard ones, remember? Yeah, Dave.
I'm fascinated by the explosion of AI and potentially
Gonna be your
quantum
question.
computing and all the energy needs they have. And not only like when that happens, what limitations we have. I assume it's good to invest in energy right now, but and then how that may be perceived to affect people movement in the country. I'm sure that's a big effect because the West Coast is having real problems with petroleum, right, producing for them. And then the rich people taxes that are driving some people and businesses away. How does that all mix together?
Sure.
It's a loaded question.
That's good. AI in the past couple of years, I mean, it's just constant energy needs. You saw this past storm where AES actually restricted power to the actual data centers. As Beth said earlier, every data center now is trying to actually have their own small nuclear power plants. In the past year, I would say that average utility stock has been more or less like an actual tech stock. I mean, these things are going straight up. Your question on is the grid. So in any blue state, they've really invested in solar, wind, all the above. It sounds great, except on day like this. these plants, the data centers are just constantly pumping out more and more energy. The only upside is that AI is becoming more efficient overall. In the old days, a single data center had thousands and thousands of servers. Now with all the brand new NVIDIA chips, Intel, the above, their overall footprint is now shrinking. So that's a plus. The only bad side is that all of our own power bills are going up in price. If anybody's got, if anyone has received their own power bill in the last couple months, they're up 25% overall. But the power is the key, and I honestly think nuclear energy is going to be the key to all of our problems.
Yeah,
For all the things that you said in this booklet.
yes, sir. Yeah, I condensed that down
Good.
to this and added the stuff about the tax.
Okay.
Yeah, Pete.
I have a question about the 529 plans. If we're fortunate enough to not, our children don't need it all because
Yeah.
they get a scholarship or they maybe don't go to college or whatever.
Right.
What can you do with the balance?
So it's really interesting. There's some really cool things that you can do now that you couldn't do 5 years ago. So, so he's asking, if one kid doesn't need the money I put into a 529 plan, what do I do with the difference? Right? What are some things to do with it? Easy thing is you can change the beneficiary to the next kid, right? And if they need it, right? That's something you've always been able to do. Something that's really cool is now if you've had the 529 plan for 15 years, you can convert it to a Roth IRA. Yeah. And what's really cool about it, change you to the beneficiary, and now it's your Roth IRA. Right? You follow what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's a big deal. There's some kind of like crazy things you can do to 529 plans that you can make these like dynasty 529 plans where I have my daughter Bella, who's 17, I make her the beneficiary. Never take the money out. Once she has kids, change the beneficiary to her kids. You can fund Roth. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy what you can do with that. And again, pay for certifications. You can pay for computers. You can pay for things that you didn't used to be. To take the certified financial planner exam, I could have used a 529 plan to pay for that. Or the certified financial analyst exam that Kenzie just took, right? Those kinds of things. It doesn't have to be like a cybersecurity certificate or something like that. Yeah.
Staying on that same topic, you mentioned about they were state specific, or they were, or they still like, is that a thing?
If you-
I didn't know that's a thing. And
if you-
I'm not.
You're
saying-
scared? If you bought these are really old now. If you bought, you could prepay tuition in 529 plans when they first came out. So the idea was like, hey, I'm going to pay for a year of tuition now, and I'm locked in. The price never increases. That has to be in Ohio. Okay, but the preponderance of 529 plans are not that way. Oh, not that way. No, those are good questions. College kids, right? They're expensive.
Yeah.
All kids are expensive.
Yeah, that's true. All kids are expensive. Hence some of the help that OBA did for young families. Eric, you don't have any hard hitting questions over there?
Why do we, I you know my stuff.
So all right, Josh.
So what, when tax return season comes, we don't get $370 billion flush in a year. Everybody socks this away, there's an extra rainy day.
You know, that would be really great, honestly, Josh. Like that would make my financial planner heart happy, right? If they did that, they're not going to, I don't think, but that would certainly pull back spending, right? And that would encourage the Fed to reduce rates if we saw a pullback in spending.
What's the employment participation rate look like?
You know, Brian, is it 1 o'clock? I see Brian getting up. Is it 1? It's 5 till we're okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure we weren't over. Sorry, I called you out. You guys are leaving early. Shame on you.
We still have a problem with that?
Not as much. Again, it's kind of a fluctuated overall, but I don't consider overall the economy is strong, but all of these tax cuts, it's all front loaded for the one main reason. You have midterms coming up, so you've got a strong economy. The economy's doing great, but the average person can't see that for another 6 to 12 months. When your inflation brings up everything, average prices aren't going to actually drop anytime soon. So if I'm paying $10 for something, it's not going to magically drop back to actually 6 anytime soon. It's a slow process. All these tax cuts are trying here is make the average person feel like they're actually having money again. So.
I think there was maybe a little bit higher unemployment for college age kids, I think. That doesn't necessarily answer your question, but it's kind of an interesting phenomenon, but.
What changed years ago, I started buying Coverdale accounts for my kids. What's changed in the Coverdale? That seems to be.
They're kind of a dinosaur at this point. They have not changed at all. And you hardly see them. They've been spent mostly, but I don't think you get all the extra whammies and things like that with the Coverdales. I'd have to double check on that.
So you mentioned about the 529s being convertible to Roth after how long? 15?
15 years.
So that means that somebody that's no longer has earned income can start a 529 plan, make substantial distributions into a 529 out of their after-tax dollars, and at the age of, say,
15 years later,
what I would be,
right,
turn it into a Roth IRA and make someone else the beneficiary of it and never pay taxes on the growth. Is that correct?
That's right.
And there's no limit on how much money you can put into a 529.
It's a lot.
Now, each year.
The Roth limit is like 35,000. Like that's the most you can do of a conversion.
That's the most you can convert
from a 529 into a Roth. So it's not, huge, but
what?
Like I said, but what you could do, right, is you could have 4 grandkids. Yeah, there's dynasty.
One for each, 30 for each.
Yeah.
So this is a way for rich people to avoid paying federal taxes 15 years down the pipe. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to get it clear.
But it's interesting, right? It's interesting.
Like 10 grandchildren.
Well, that's what these Trump accounts are kind of interesting for that fact too. Yeah, James.
It's more of an econ question, so I don't know if you'll know, but do you know what direction the administration's planning on going with when it comes to US MCA? Or is that how is that
smart idea?
So you're talking about
the Treasury Secretary keeps saying in July, I think, is when they're gonna renegotiate.
I think it'll change about 5 more times, but it's, I think it's just gonna depend on the overall politics.
Gotcha. Maybe more bluster than anything.
Yeah, I doubt it'll change much. It's gonna be we have all the actual leverage, so maybe at better overall.
Okay.
I didn't understand this question. What was he asking?
He was asking about the USMC trade agreement.
US, Canada, Mexico,
Okay.
fair trade.
All right. I was like, I need to know the whole thing.
Right now,
This is why I brought Brian.
right now, Canada's on the ice.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Thanks, guys.
I need to get one of those booklets.
What is it?
I need to get one. That's a paper book right there.
Oh, please help yourself. There's plenty of them.
Read it for total.
Oh, yeah, Jim's not here, nor is Chris. I see Chris. He's right there. Do you have your computer here? That's the words I'm looking for. Camera. Denny's to the rescue. Okay. Brian, you want to come up here to see things?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, is that all right?
Well, glad.
I'm sorry.
Good, everybody?
Terrific. You're gonna take another one, make sure your eyes are open.
Thanks, Denny.
Yeah. And this will be donated to the Beavercreek Library, which y'all know. But, and I know Chris is here, so I know he's anxious to do his sergeant arm report.
For a minute over.
I'm sorry, it's not gonna be able to do it.
Next time.
Get this thing back up. It's right. I'll get this about, get to the library. Is there anything else, any business to be brought up today? Nope. Well, you all stay safe and warm driving home. You all right, Fletch?
Sure. That's enough.
The pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God. All. Thank you very much. Hi. Be careful going out. Correct. Oh, take that. Your plate there. Oh, great. Good to see you again. Get back.
Hi,